What is happening, guys? It's Monster Chappie, and today I'm sharing with you my offensive scheme, and this is out of the San Francisco offensive playbook, and this is pretty much the scheme I've been running lately, running a lot of money games and stuff like that. And San Francisco's probably easily has the best running playbook in the game. It has various I forms, strongs. It just has everything that you need as far as run plays go. And then to top that off, it also has um, halfback counters, which aren't found out of shotgun in every formation, but it has quite a few halfback counters out of the shotgun formations. And as well, it has read options, which again are great run plays in this game. That obviously they run it in real life and it works for them too. But on the game, it's especially effective, especially if you can get that QB loose. So, with that being said, this is a majority passing scheme. But if you are the type to run, you can easily sub out any audible you want and, put in a good run play, a power O from the pro, your twins. There's just endless amount of run plays you can pick. So that is that. Now let's start off with the personnel and the base formation, which is actually going to be the bunch halfback strong. Now, I'll just kind of look at it here. The guy you want on the island, what I like to call it, wide receiver island, whatever wide receiver it is, this is typically going to be your best wide receiver. Here you want a taller wide receiver too. So you want a big guy that can really create a lot of problems and usually be one of your elite wide receivers. The Brendan Marshalls, Hakeem Nicks, Calvin Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald. It's nice to have speed here too, but speed isn't the key thing. You want that guy that can go up, get the user catches, go up and catch it in traffic, all that types of stuff. That's the guy you want there. You want a big body with some good hands on the island, and you want him to be able to basically abuse any type of one-on-one defense if he gets it and destroy it. Now at the halfback, you want your best halfback there. You want good carrying, good catching, and speed. Speed is huge again this year. Catching is semi-important. Again, if I was with the Seahawks, I would still play Lynch because he's that great of a running back. But definitely you can mix in Washington here and there. But for the most part, just your best halfback is going to be the guy you're going to go with generally in most cases. Now, in this slot position where 80 is, I have Cruz here now. This is where you want your speedster, typically your fastest wide receiver. Now, you do want him to have some sort of catching ability because he is going to be catching the ball quite a bit and he may catch it in traffic. So, if I was using the Niners, you may think go Ted Ginn, but Ted Ginn tends to drop the ball quite a bit. So I will actually go with Manningham in this spot. But, it can vary depending on which team you're using, but definitely your speed guy is going to go there. Now, on the outside, here is going to be another guy that you want to be fast, but you also want to be able to have catch the ball. And when I use the Bears, this is usually Devin Hester, and I have Knox in the slot here, which actually works out perfect where 80 is. But, at this spot, you just want another good wide receiver that can hold onto the ball, and he's pretty quick. Now, at this spot, this tight end spot, you can go one of two ways. You can play a tight end, such as a Vernon Davis. If you have the Saints, obviously you want to play Jimmy Graham. But you want a good receiver here, a receiving tight end or a receiving wide receiver that's really big. When I play with the Giants, I put Bard in there. If I play with the Niners, I'll actually put Crabtree in this spot. And, just depending on the team will depend on who's going to go there. So you want a big guy that can actually catch the ball decently and also block decently. So, a little bit of speed. I'm recommending at least 80 speed because you do want to be able to get some sort of separation. And that is that. Now we can go ahead and look at the base play, which is the wide trail. And I run this play almost all game. So just looking at it here, you've probably seen this play run by a lot of other people. You've seen different setups for it. But the setup I usually go with is just streak the slot wide receiver in the middle here, which is our speedster. I usually either streak, well, we'll talk about the solo guy in a second, and then I'll put the halfback on a wheel route, and that's basically all I do. Now, this guy on the outside, I kind of leave him on different types of things depending on what the defense is doing, but we'll get into that. But as far as the base goes, typically this is how it's going to look. I'm just going to streak this middle guy, and I'm going to put a wheel route for the running back. And the reason we do this is because the running back is going to get a man, well, not a man switch, but since there isn't a man switch, the guy that has to cover him is actually going to be coming from the far left side of the field. So it's going to be very difficult for Trufant to cover him, especially in the two-man under, as you're going to see here. There's just no way Trufant can get over there, which is one of the reasons that that halfback being over there, having four guys on the same side of the field, is very effective. Now, another thing with this is there's a lot of other options as well. So what we're going to look at here now is the solo wide receiver. Again, we can put them on a streak and go over the top. We can go with the user catch. If they're playing a lot of man, you can go ahead and go with an out route. Depending on what kind of zones they're playing, you can go with the pass lead fade. If they're doing man press, maybe go with a slant. But typically, it's either going to be a streak, a fade, or a deep out route. One of those. And that's typically the three routes I'll put them on. But definitely whatever looks like it's going to be the defense would be the best case scenario. Now, as far as reads go, it really just depends on the defense. Again, I've said I've ran this against all types of different defenses. Like any kind of defense you can think of, I've ran this play against it in this formation. And I've had success. And it's, you know, worked in money games, worked in ranked games, etc., etc. So, as you can see here, really, there is an optional thing you can do, which is a motion hike from Randall or this outside right wide receiver. And for that, all you do is you get a really, really quick motion, and then you hike the ball after he takes maybe half a step, not even. And this is tougher to do online because online it's tougher with that lag and the timing to really get the timing on this snap. But definitely head-to-head, this works really well because you get that timing. You can go ahead and get some additional separation sometimes that just really get you crazy separation against the defender. Now, when it does pay off, he will actually get a huge speed burst. And what you don't want to have happen, and what typically happens online, is what you're seeing right here, is he takes steps, but then he does this. This is not the animation you want. You don't want him doing all that. You actually want him to snap back right away. So it's going to be a real quick step, as you can see, something like that. But again, we're not getting the desired animation at this moment, but in games it tends to work a lot better. But again, you can just leave that drag there. You don't want to throw it if the defender's right on top of him like that, ever. I will only throw this drag if it's clearly open and you would think they're going to cover it. But a lot of the times that drag tends to get open and you can pass lead it up to get additional yards. But to get them even more separation, again, you can do that motion snap. Now, another thing we can do with that drag is to playmaker it up, especially if they're playing a lot of max coverage. So if he gets covered as he is here, just playmaker it up like that. I'm going to go ahead and put this defender in a zone. Let's see here. All right. Just put these DNs in zones since that's what typically a lot of people will do. Now, what I'll do here, again, as you can see, sometimes you will get just good separation for that drag and other times you won't. Just really depends. I think Irvin actually may have ran into the corner that time. So what we're going to look at here again is, you know, the defender's on him. Bam, go ahead, playmaker him up, and then get a nice additional amount of yardage there. So that's pretty much what we do with the drag. Now, with that wheel route from the halfback, usually it's going to be a real quick pass, and if it's not, maybe against man, it's usually going to be a real quick pass, and if it's open, you should just see it. As you would see here, he's just wide open, and you got additional field to work with. But in the case that he's not open right away, sometimes you can, if you wait on it, you can get a pass lead to the inside. depending on where the defender is. A lot of times guys will start moving the defender over there because he's just getting killed all game. So they'll start moving him over here and making various adjustments and things like that, which is fine. But again, if that does happen, you still have the, oh gosh, I just love when that happens. Trying to show an example in the defensive line in practice mode, get their block sheds going. Practice mode, you tend to see a lot of block sheds, so that's perfectly fine, perfectly normal. But again, when they start moving that guy over, a lot of times you can get an inside pass lead on that wheel route on the sideline, and if they play max coverage, a lot of times he'll get open downfield. So that's what we're looking at with the drag and the wheel, and those are our first two reads most of the time. Then our next read is sometimes Barden with the real quick pass here. You can just make that pass before he makes his cut back. And if that's wide open, sometimes it will be, especially if they're blitzing. Sometimes he is a good read to have. And just get a few yards. Sometimes you could get more. But that's the first three reads really for quick reads. And then a further developing read downfield is going to be Barden or that angle route. And what you want to do with it is actually just precision pass down. And even though he won't look like he's open, he actually gets a nice animation, I should say. He gets nice inside position or whatever you want to call it. He gets real nice position here. Now, I don't throw it when he's leading. What I'll do is I'll wait until they're just about even. Right now, the reason the defender's jumping it is because I'm not waiting for him to actually cross. Worried about this stupid pass rush. So this route does take some time to develop. I will pre-warn you that now for that angle to go back. But as you're going to see, hopefully in this example, that once it does develop, it is actually worth it, as you can see there. Once he gets in front of him, you can just pass lead that down. And the reason we pass lead down is to get that, again, additional separation from the defender. As you're going to see here, once they get even, get the pass lead down. Now, this is another reason you want to have a guy with decent catching, because as you've seen in that example, you got hit. Now, we've looked at these three guys. The last two guys we're going to look at is Cruz. Now, with Cruz, I'll usually almost always put him on a streak. But if we're in the red zone area, what I'll do is I'll leave him on that corner route. And that corner route does pretty decent if you throw it, if he's open just after his break. You don't want to wait too long, because what will happen is that that defender will actually recover. And once he does, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and you'll actually probably end up throwing an interception. So, only throw that corner route if it is clearly open. Want to stress that again. The same thing with the drag. You only want to throw it if it's clearly open, because if you throw it and it's not, I almost can guarantee that you're going to throw an interception. It's one of those very high-risk passes, and it's not high risk because of the pass itself, but just because if the defender does get their hands on it, it's almost always going to get picked off. So just something to keep in mind there. But the main purpose for the streak from this slot guy on the right is two reasons. One, they're blitzing or etc., doing this, doing that. Right here, he gets like really nice separation on the streak against man coverage just about every single time. If we could just get a little bit more time, but just in case they go to double that wheel or whatever the case may be, he gets, just as you can see, just gets real good separation. That's why you want your speedster there. Cruz dropped it, which is very unlike him, but it is what it is. I guess didn't want to catch that ball, but that's the reason why you want a guy with at least decent catching, because sometimes Ted Ginn, guys like that will get it, but they'll actually drop it, and then you're losing a touchdown, essentially taken off the board. So that's that there with that streak. And then the other thing you can do with that streak, depending on the defense, is get a pass lead inside or outside. I probably wouldn't recommend it against press coverage. Press coverage, you're probably just going to want to go over the top with the two-man under, but this is more against zones. But right now we're just looking at the two-man under. I probably wouldn't force that, probably just go over the top, but depending on, if the defender's right playing over here or something like that, then you may be able to get a nice little outside pass lead or something like that to them. And vice versa, if they're sitting on the outside, let's just say they base a line, something like this, which some people will do. Then you can go ahead and get the inside pass lead depending on how they play it. Now again, that's something you just want to look. It should be clearly open if it is going to get open, so don't force it if it isn't. As I can see here, if they're not in position, you just go for the lob over the top. That's usually the safe bet. That's why we have our speedster there. Now, the last thing we're going to look at against man coverage, just man press. This play, I run it so much, and there's so many variables and things like that, but it's a basic. We can, against like a two-man under, you can go ahead and put them on a 10-yard out and just throw it as you would any other out route. Or you can even go with the curl, depending on what part of the field. Sometimes the curls are nice, specifically because you're not in a good spot to hot route or smart route, the out route. So if, it's like a 3rd and 2 or something, and a 2-yard out route probably isn't going to get open against man defenders. But if you put them on a curl, you can throw it pretty much the exact same way. Now, do watch out for people putting hook zones and purples over there, because that is something that people will tend to do once you've abused it enough times. But then once they start doing different stuff against various zones and things, you can get the inside pass lead on the fade. Now, I wouldn't throw that pass, honestly, but on PS3 you can definitely get away with that almost every single time because you can't press. But you'll just want to definitely work on being able to abuse the defenders one-on-one. Going to want to get your user skills down, get your user catching down, because that is something that will help take it to the next level as far as being able to make your defenders, make your opponent pay, essentially, for overplaying the right side of the field or overplaying one route, or basically giving you one-on-one. Real life, if you give Calvin Johnson, one of those guys, one-on-one, they're going to make you pay for it. And then another thing, if you have them on a streak, as you're going to see here, the key to throwing this streak against the man press is waiting till he's about 15 yards downfield and then precision up lob pass. I know most of the times you can go ahead and just throw a regular lob pass, but for some reason against man press on the outside, you want to wait an additional 15 yards to make that pass, and they'll throw it perfectly, as you can see there. I moved Thomas intentionally. I know he would have played that. So, if it's double coverage, that's when you don't want to throw it, obviously. So, that is pretty much what I do against man defense, and pretty much how we abuse it. Definitely want to get your users catching skills down again, and then be smart. If you are playing against the Seahawks, you're probably not going to want to go against Browner all game one-on-one. You may be able to, but you're going to want to mix it up a little bit more so, versus if you have a 5'8" corner on you, you can kind of just throw it at him. But Browner, his strength is going to be more so with his size and strength, so you may want to approach the speed more so, whereas if you've got a little speedy corner on you, you may want to go more for the size advantage with user catching and stuff like that. So, you just got to be smart with it. And again, that's why you want a guy with good catching, and that animation will happen from time to time. But I'm almost at 20 minutes. But again, that base play, we'll be looking at it again in the next video for the breakdown on this. It is so useful, and I use it so much. Like, I've literally ran this play 100% of the game sometimes and never been stopped from certain opponents. So if they don't make those right adjustments, they don't do what they need to adjust for your play, they start mixing up trying to bring blitzes, then you hit them with the quick passes, they start playing a lot of coverage, then you wait for stuff to develop further downfield, etc., etc. You kind of just read off of what your opponent's doing, and that's how you're going to want to make your plays. And be smart, don't force anything, because again, you can throw a pick. But as long as you're smart, as long as you do what you should be doing, you should be fine, and this play should definitely be very effective for you. But until the next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown thus far. We gone.